Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you are new here today, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you like what you see. Today we're having a round table. This is a chicken garlic, I don't know, it has like chicken and tomato, all that good stuff. And then we have some wings here. Back here I think is the buffalo, and then I have mango habanero. These are bone-in wings, and you guys know I normally don't eat bone-in wings, so we're gonna give it a go today. Yeah, and I'm also doing a true crime, the same true crime that I mentioned in my last video that I never ended up talking about. But first we're going to eat, and then the second half of the video is going to be the true crime. So yeah, let's get started. You guys can see me better. Okay, so let's so this has like a creamy garlic sauce with chicken, tomato, mushrooms, green onions, garlic, and I think that's it. And put some Parmesan cheese and some crushed pepper. My kids are eating also, so if you hear other chewing sounds, that's probably them. It's so good. Round Table is like one of my favorite pizza places. Let me know how you guys are doing in the comments, and if you guys have ever had Round Table pizza and what your favorite pizza toppings are. Just drinking some ice water. Got a stainless steel straw. There's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about also. I scarfed that down. Yeah, these ones are the buffalo. So I've been contemplating, but this morning I got an email. So you guys know all the mukbangers, you see them with the coldest water bottles, and you see them, and I have one. You guys have seen it before, but I never like showed the side where it says coldest water bottle. I feel like these could use more sauce on them. They're not very flavored. They're still good though. But so I've used it before. But I wanted your guys' opinion because I know you guys see like every mukbanger shows it in their video because they're sponsored, obviously. So what I'm getting to is I got an email today from Coldest Water to do a sponsorship with them. So my question is to you guys, like, I want to do it, I want to say yes, but I also don't want to be that YouTuber that like pushes stuff on you guys, you know. So I just don't want you guys to hate me if in the next few videos you guys see the coldest water bottle just chilling here, and then I have a link down below. But I feel like for me and my channel, it'll be a good opportunity to make a little extra money, you know, since I am a stay-at-home mom. And to just be compensated for the videos that I put out. So I want to get your guys' opinion. Ultimately, I know it is my decision. If you guys don't like it, you don't have to watch. But it's not like I don't want to be that YouTuber that like pushes it. You know, it'll just be here. I'll make a statement. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if you do see it. I just want to be transparent with you guys. But I'm contemplating and I need to make a decision soon. So I don't want to lose subscribers, but at the end of the day, like, it's my channel and I can't please everybody. And like I have no issue with other YouTubers doing it. You know, good for them. They're making money. Who doesn't want to make a little extra money, you know? I have no issue with other people doing it. So that's just where I'm at. I just wanted to see your guys' input, and ultimately I know that it is my decision. So you guys can either take me or leave me. Alright, let's try one of these ones. These ones are the mango habanero. It was good. I forgot I'm wearing my scrunchie. Oh well. I was gonna take my scrunchie down and like either leave my hair down or put a different hair tie in, but oh well. Oh yeah, I forgot I got ranch. I forgot that I got ranch. Is this ranch? Looks different. Okay, there's ranch there. Alright, let's have another buffalo. I think the buffalo is my ultimate favorite wing flavor. Okay, so we're like 8 minutes in. We have another wing. Y'all know my favorite are the flats. I was playing around with my makeup today, so I got a little more bronzer, a little more eyeshadow on. Okay, so Anthony Sowell, also known as the Cleveland Strangler. He was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. He grew up in East Cleveland, and I'm just going to give a little background and then I'm kind of going to go into a timeline because there's so much information, so many victims that he had, and it's just easier if I like go in chronological order of events that happened. Chronological order, is that right? I think so. So, and I have some notes here because I don't want to like forget anything. So he is known as like the most, this crime was known as the most horrific modern day serial killer. He's a middle-aged black man, which race has nothing to do with it, so don't, like, I don't want you guys to think that, but that's just the facts. He was African American. He was born 1959 in East Cleveland, and he lived with his grandma and his mom. And in the same home, he also lived with his cousins, so his aunt and his aunt's kids. Now his aunt, I don't remember if she had like a medical condition, but she passed away and the kids stayed with the grandma. And after the mom passed away, he was subjected to seeing his mom and his grandma physically abuse his nieces and nephews. So he would see that. He would also get abused as well. But the most abuse was on his nieces and nephews. He would see them get whipped. One time he saw them have to strip down naked while in order to be whipped. And it was just really bad, the abuse that they went through. And at the age of 11, one of his nieces, I think he was 2 years older than her, but one of his nieces from the age of 11, Anthony started sexually abusing her and raping her almost on a daily basis for 2 years. And she testified that in court at the trial. So there was a lot of abuse going on in that household. Anthony claimed he just wanted to get out of that neighborhood because East Cleveland used to be a place where people would go to get away from the South. I don't know exactly what was going on in the South, but I can only imagine. So African American families would move north to East Cleveland to get away from that. And so it was a decent neighborhood. But around the 60s, it started to get run down. Businesses were going out of business. A lot of crime and drugs took over the city in the 60s. So by the 60s, in the 60s, people started losing their homes. There was a lot of empty, abandoned houses, boarded up, a lot of drug and violence. So by the age of 19, after he graduated from high school, he enlisted in the Marines. And that was in 1978. So he served for 7 years. While he was enlisted, he was stationed in North Carolina, California, and also overseas in Okinawa. Yeah, Okinawa, Japan. And supposedly he did really well. There was structure there. He had to make his bed every day. Structure and order. So he did really well when there was structure and order. He was also trained as an electrician while he was in the Marines. So he served 7 years. In 1985, he was discharged. And at the time of being discharged, throughout his whole Marine Corps career, he received a Good Conduct Medal with 1 service star, a Sea Service Deployment Ribbon because he was in Okinawa, Japan, Certificate of Commendation, Meritorious Mast, and 2 letters of appreciation. So he did really well. So after he was discharged, he returned back to his home in Cleveland. 4 years later, in 1989, he ends up raping and strangling a woman who got away from him. She went to the police. She was also 3 months pregnant. He lured her. Anthony Sowell came off as like this really charming guy. You know, he was somebody that you wouldn't think was capable of committing heinous crimes. So he lured women in with his charm. He also used drugs and alcohol as a way to lure them to his house. He targeted middle-aged African American women who were known drug users. So in 1989, a woman goes to the police and claims that Anthony Sowell raped her and strangled her. And so the police go to his house, arrest him, and because of a plea bargain, he ends up pleading guilty. So he serves 15 years in prison. And the woman claimed that she thought she was going to die, but she claims that God intervened and let him go to sleep so that she was able to escape. So she was able to escape because he fell asleep. So Anthony Sowell was in prison for rape. While he was in prison, he did really well also. Structure and order, remember, he did really well. He didn't cause a scene. He didn't get into any fights. He did good in prison. He tried to get out on parole, but he was denied multiple times. So eventually he was let out. He was released in 2005 after he served his 15-year sentence. And again, he moves into his family home in East Cleveland. His family home was on Imperial Avenue in the Mount Pleasant area. So when he was released, he had to register as a sex offender. But they never took his DNA when he went to prison. And back then when he was released, I guess when he was released, he had to check in once every year. He worked in the factory. He was eventually laid off in 2007. So to make a living, he began collecting unemployment, and he also would go around picking up scrap metal. He also has a girlfriend who's living with him, and she is also the niece of the governor at that time. And so she was living with him, and she would complain to Anthony about, the smell. So this was in 2007, June 2007. And she would complain about the smell, and Anthony would tell her that it was from his stepmother. I guess she was just a really smelly lady, or he just blamed it on her. Him and his girlfriend broke up, and it's questionable whether or not she moved out of the home in 2007 or 2008, because there's different articles that contradict themselves, and she herself has contradicted herself. Either way, she moved out of the house, and then after she moved out of the house, she claimed that the smell was coming from Ray's sausage. So around the same time, people were calling the city and complaining about a really horrid smell. One lady even called in and claimed that it smelled like decaying flesh. And so the city looked into it, and Anthony Sowell lived right next to a sausage factory. Ray's Sausage. So the health department went out. Ray's Sausage also spent $200,000 in repairing their ventilation system, but the smell still lingered. Anthony Sowell would also go, there was a little corner store. He would go to the corner store, and the owner there claimed that he would buy cigarettes, and at first he was looking good, but then around the same time he would come in just looking almost homeless like. He smelled really bad, really, really bad. And the owner never questioned him. But he would also buy black garbage bags, and some of them he also remembers that him asking for heavy duty garbage bags. I'm sorry, my neighbors are like banging next door or something. I don't know. So he would go to the corner store and buy garbage bags and stuff. We now know what he was using the garbage bags for. At this time, he was also having to check in, because he was a registered sex offender. He was also having to check in every 90 days because of the Adam Walsh Act that had passed. But the police department still did not have his DNA. It was not in the system. And Anthony, he never missed a check-in. In December 2008, a mom had gone to the police station claiming that her daughter was missing. Now, her daughter had a drug problem, and she was known to disappear for like 3 to 5 days at a time, but no longer than 5 days. So after 3 weeks that she was missing, her mom went and reported her missing to the police station, and the police supposedly went around asking questions, showing pictures, and nobody had seen her. And that was it. Nobody had information on her whereabouts. That was on December 2nd when her mom reported her missing. And then on December 8th, 2008, a woman who's bleeding runs up to a police car. She had first been to a restaurant where nobody was going to help her. Nobody helped her. She had scratches all over her. It was obvious that she had been attacked. She reported that Anthony Sowell had attacked her. He punched her and tried to rip off her clothes. She had a laceration on her thumb. So police went to Anthony's house. They arrested him. They took all these pictures, but then he was later released because they said there wasn't sufficient evidence. And I guess what had happened was whoever was in charge of the sex crimes unit, she went and she only had the report of the robbery. She didn't have the report of the alleged attack where she had like all the pictures and stuff. So because of that, Anthony was able to get released. Insufficient evidence, so to keep him in custody. So he was released. I have to look at these notes because like there's so many women and I kind of get them confused in my head, so if I'm looking down a lot, that's why. I just want to get everything right. Okay, then in September 22nd, 2009, the sheriff's department goes to Anthony Sowell's house to check up on him. It was just a routine like surprise checkup just to make sure he's still living there. But the deputies that went, they for some reason did not notice the stench at all coming from his house. Because Anthony Sowell was there, he entered, but it's standard protocol because they didn't have a warrant. They didn't have like a search warrant, so they weren't able to go into his house unless Anthony let him. So they didn't go inside the house. That was September 22nd, 2008. A few hours later on that same day, Anthony, he goes out, does his usual routine, charms these women on the street, entices them with drugs and alcohol, brings them back to his house, and as soon as they're in his house, he flips on them, turns into the sadistic, crazy man. And that's what he did that same night. The same day that the police went to check up on him, he went out, lured a woman to his house. He raped her, strangled her with an extension cord. She passed out a few times. He continued raping her. And this was somebody that he had known, or he had seen on the streets before, So she didn't think anything of it when she went back home with him. The woman was able to get away after she promised to not tell police what had just happened, and she just kind of nonchalantly played it off like, oh, like who doesn't love, to get rough sometimes. And she also gave him $50, and he let her go. He let her escape. So as soon as she got out, she called the police and reported what had just happened. Police didn't come out. There was not really a standard protocol for rape victims in the city of East Cleveland. So she reported it. Police never came out. Instead, they forwarded it to the sex crimes unit, where a detective tried to get a hold of her for her to come in for an interview. Well, the detective couldn't get a hold of her, so he got a hold of her mom, and her mom confirmed that she's hard to get a hold of. So ultimately, you know, she never came in for an interview until later on. October 20th, 2009, there's a woman who lunges out the window, and she's naked. She's being attacked in I believe the second floor of Anthony Sowell's home. She's being attacked. A neighbor sees it, and he calls 911. They both get transported to the hospital. Anthony Sowell claims that they were, doing drugs all day. They were having intercourse, and she accidentally fell out the window. It resulted in the woman being in a coma for 3 days. When the woman got out of a coma, Anthony Sowell contacted her and told her that he would kill her if she said anything about what happened that night to the police. So once the police found out that she was out of a coma and she was unconscious. Well, she wasn't in a coma, sorry. She was unconscious for 3 days. Is that the same thing as being in a coma? I don't know. She was unconscious for 3 days. A detective went, and she refused to talk to the detective because of what Anthony had called her for, and denied that there was ever any attack. So nothing was ever done. 1 week later, October 27th, 2009, the girl that gave $50 to Anthony said that she wasn't gonna go tell the police. She finally shows up to give her statement. And when she shows up, she claims that when she was there, he repeatedly raped her, strangled her. They were using drugs, and she eventually was able to go use the restroom. And on her way to the restroom, she saw in an adjacent room that there was a dead body, essentially, half covered in a black bag. And so when she saw that, she tried her best to keep her composure. In the bathroom, she's like freaking out, and she knows that if she doesn't keep her composure, if she has any indication that she saw what she saw, and Anthony knows that she saw what she saw, then he was gonna for sure kill her. So she tried her best to keep her composure, like she had seen nothing. And she was just frantic. Luckily, she was able to get away, and she also left her underwears there. So the police were able to get a search warrant for Anthony, and they also got an arrest warrant for him. The next day, they were able to get that search warrant. They went to the house with the search warrant in hand and the arrest warrant. Anthony was not home. Because they had the search warrant, police were able to go inside the home, and immediately as soon as they opened the door, they noticed the stench. His house had been so run down. There was feces all over, rat feces all over, flies hanging from the wall. They noticed the decomposing bodies, and when they noticed that, they had to back out, conceal everything, and they had to call for backup. The next day, they were able to go inside the house. That's when they found more bodies. They found them in the crawl space. They found one in the basement. They found a severed head in a bucket in the basement. They found some buried in the backyard. It was just horrible. Most of the bodies that they found were killed in the same manner. Some of them were so decomposed that you couldn't tell how they had died. 2 days later, Anthony Sowell at this time is hiding in an abandoned house, he's on the run. But not really, because 2 days later, police find him walking down the street 1 mile away from his house. In the same neighborhood, 1 mile away. He's arrested, he's taken in for questioning, and he claims that he doesn't know how those women were killed, but he does claim that he had dreams about how they were killed. So, in the interrogation room, the detectives get him to describe how the killings happened in his dreams. He was then arrested, and his bond was set for $5 million. I'm trying to get all the meat off this. He didn't go to trial right away because it kept getting delayed, because his side needed more information, and then the same with the prosecution side. They needed more time to get their evidence together. And there was so much evidence. I mean, there was 11 bodies. 11 bodies found. He's charged with 11 counts of aggravated murder and about 70 counts of rape, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. At first, he tried pleading guilty by insanity, but then I think with all of the evidence piled up against him, he just later changed it to not guilty. I don't think he ever went through any mental evaluation. July 22nd, 2011, a jury found him guilty on all counts except for 2. On August 10th, the jury came back with a recommended sentencing of the death penalty as punishment. And then 2 days later, on August 12th, the judge upheld that recommendation and sentenced Anthony Sowell to death by execution. And his execution date was set for October 29th, 2012. March 2012 comes around. He's got new lawyers, and they file for a stay in execution, which was granted, pending on his appeal status. So Anthony starts going through all of the appeals. He's consistently being denied all the way up into the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court denies it. They say that even if the reason why he wants to appeal because he didn't get a fair trial, his lawyers in the first trial didn't represent him very well, the media coverage and all that. But the judges said that even if they were to reopen it, there's so much evidence that's not circumstantial against him. And not only the fact that he admitted to it at his trial, he would still be found guilty and his sentencing would still be execution because of how horrific these crimes were. He made a request for the Supreme Court to reevaluate his appeal, and they denied that request. That was in February 2018. So now I'd just like to take the time to name off his victims in order, just to show them some respect, because I haven't named any of his victims throughout the whole time that I've been speaking about them. So the first and this is in order of disappearance. The first to disappear was Crystal Dozier, May 2007. Tashana Culver, June 2008. LaShonda Long, August 2008. Michelle Mason, October 2008. Tanya Carmichael, November 2008. Kim Yvette Smith, January 2009. Nancy Cobbs, April 2009. Imelda Hunter, April 2009. Janice Webb, June 2009. Talasha Fortson, June 2009. And Diane Turner, September 2009. Because of the findings in this case, police and detectives, they went back and reopened old cold cases that happened in and around the time that he was released from prison, and they were able to find a few cases that had the same AO, meaning strangulation and rape, that started from the time he got out of the Marines, by the time he was discharged, to the time he went to prison, and that's when they stopped. After Anthony Sowell's conviction, the house on Imperial Avenue was ordered to be demolished, and it eventually was in 2011, December 6, 2011. So now the lot where the House of Horrors, it was dubbed the House of Horrors, the lot where that was is now just an abandoned lot, and the city is supposed to create some sort of like memorial with like flowers and stuff, but they have yet to this day to do anything about that. So it still sits this abandoned lot. It's not being taken care of, and it's just sad. People who go there say that there's an aura about it. If they knew what had happened there, you can just sense that. Some people don't even know what happened there. Yeah, and Anthony Sowell is still sitting on death row with the stay of execution, and there is no date set for his execution because I believe he's used up all of his appeals. So that is everything. If you guys have more information about this that you think was important and I didn't relay to you guys, please leave it in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video.